Jesus Christ. Every time. Oh, I should have waited! Oh! Hey there, and welcome back once again to Freddy and the Gang, where we're going to be going into Custom Night, trying to beat max difficulty, see if we get anything out of it, assuming I beat it, of course. Oh boy. Even though I know how to cover this, the main thing that worries me now more than anything is just the fact that if I'm not careful, these two, Bonnie and Chica, will get me without me even realizing it. Also, I don't know why I never noticed this about their designs. They have no eyes. Like, you can literally see like the socket where the eyes would plug in, but they don't have eyes. Interesting. Which I guess makes sense for the whole idea of like them using sound to try and find you. But yeah, we're just hopping right into it. 420 mode. Let's see what I can do. Because I'm gonna be worried. I don't know how this is gonna compare to Friday. Okay, there's two. Okay, so just remember. Oh, they're already starting it, huh? Remember, if I think they might be in front of me. Hold on. Okay. Monitor. Okay. Hold on. Camera 1. Oh my god. I didn't hear the breathing. I have to give it more time. Okay. Hold on. Oh, you see that that's what I'm talking about. So, I think in reality, that's the thing I have to be very careful of. I'm gonna have to do something where if I see them on the motion detector, I have to shut off the fan immediately. Any sense of them being nearby, I need to shut off the fan immediately. Like, no chill. Or, I need to just keep it off as much as I can. I heard Foxy somewhere. Well, now I know where. I can't. What's up with my motion detector? Someone's here. I don't know if I locked them in time. Oh boy. Hi there. Alright. Breathing. Oh, I didn't open... Breathing. Uh-oh, dangerous. Jesus Christ. Every time. Oh, I should have waited! Oh! 5 a.m. Yeah. Motion detector's useless. It's useless. You can't be on camera anywhere near enough to use the bloody motion detector. It takes too long. Yeah, no, I wasn't happy with that run at all. Like, I panicked because I didn't hear him leave the room, or leave the door. The thing is, the motion detector doesn't charge up when you're off the computer. That's what makes it useless. Oh my god. Oh my god, my generators are cooked. Never mind. I keep letting the generators get destroyed. I didn't know where Foxy was. That was too late. Like, when? Oh my god. Why is he I don't get why he's staying at my doors longer than usual. Yeah, damn it. Oh. Oh my god, I didn't... Oh, I have to... Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh, you made it into camera 1. Oh my god, he showed up as soon as I used the light. That was such horrible timing on my part. Damn it. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, trying to do that without the motion detector is very tricky, because it becomes a game of trying to balance the temperature, which is hard to do when I'm not checking status. I can't tell how hot, like, it's hard to tell, like, I mainly just get worried that I'm getting too hot in this area. That's what makes me worried. Damn it. 5 AM again. See, that's the thing. I have to not do that either. If Foxy gets me, I can't check anywhere else. Because I can't hear, like, the jump scare is not going to let me hear anything. Still, we can get there, we can get there. Shoot, I think I let him in. I did. Yeah, see, I didn't notice the breathe until a little later. I didn't even know Foxy was there. Two generators out. Jesus Christ. Oh. I did it. Oh my god, I did it. Let's go. Let's go. That was rough. One generator. My temperature like around 80, 90 degrees. I think max might be 100. We did it though. Not too bad. Not too bad. Again, motion detectors is useless because I think in general, it's not just a recharge, but the fact that it only recharges, right, when you're on the camera, which you don't want to be on most of it, you know what I mean? Because you need to be able to switch the temperatures quickly. You need to have that fine control over the temperatures because you have to turn it off a lot to have an ear ready for both Bonnie and Chica. And besides that, the actual scanning of the motion detector is kind of worthless because of how quickly they move. By the time you see Bonnie, like, think about it this way, Friday, by the time you see Bonnie or Chica at the edges of the warehouse, you can flash your light and they'll be right in front of you. Which means in this case, it would be a lot worse. And at that point, there's no real reason to use the motion detector. Except like maybe at the very beginning. Unfortunately, we don't get a star for 420 mode. Like, look at this. I can either do all 0 or all 20. You know what? Because they have all 0, let's see if anything happens. I'm curious. Does anything happen with all 0? Some games like to have a little something. The fact that they have... See, that's the thing. The fact that they have the option all 0 made me wonder. Because I thought those... You know what I mean? Like, I can either put all max or all 0. Like... Why give me that option? Instead of just letting me, like, you know, go through the numbers. I mean, if anything, we might just be sitting here the whole time. But yeah, like, literally, like, look how long this takes. I mean, like, yeah, that's pretty much the amount of time that it takes for me to go through the doors. Actually, not even. I check on Freddy in less time than that, and you need to be able to get out of there, like, and just like get ready to like shut something off or anything like that. I mean, it's just the motion detector is more of a it would just hurt you in the long run, and you just don't have the opportunity to recharge it with the camera because you have to be on camera. At least in 420. Wait, actually, hold on. Let's actually check that out right now. If I go through all the charges. Okay, we'll go off the computer. Doesn't look like anything's happening. Let's see. It doesn't actually charge. Let's give it a while. Also, now I just have to wonder, who is the one that's flicking our breaker? Because, obviously in custom it makes sense for it to happen, but it was happening when I was dealing with the rabbit too. On Saturday. The Saturday night, I mean. Right? Like, something kept flicking these off, which is just downright odd. Now, let's check. What? Wait, so it charges back up normally? So in 420 mode, they intentionally make it like a one-time only thing. Like, once you go through the charges, that's it. Because, again, you're not going to need them. Okay. I thought that was, like, weird. It's like, I could have sworn the charges, you know, would still charge, but maybe not. I was gaslighting myself. So I guess now we're just going to wait here until 6 AM. So I'm going to take the opportunity to actually bring up something that I was supposed to bring up in the last video, and I completely forgot about it. So Saturday's ending, the Saturday night ending with the rabbit, right? Revealing that the epicenter of the earthquake was in the room where the rabbit was located. Now, what that sounds a lot like to me, the first thing that came to mind when I heard that was the... What's it called? It's in the FISA archive, or the Fazbear Entertainment Security Archive that was supposed to be part of Fazbear Tycoon. And the reason why I say that is because one of the entries in that archive for that fan game, there was one of the lore details about that world was that the Afton house was swallowed up by a giant pit, right? As if it was trying to pretty much eliminate all essence of William Afton, right? Up to his very house. And I couldn't help but think of a parallel there, because it's as like, you know what I mean, it's as if like it's like saying the forces of nature try to get rid of Afton, right, considering everything that he's done. And the earthquake, it's like the earth itself tries to swallow Afton up, right, probably because of certain bear's influence, right? Like, just like thinking about it, it's like the earth tried to swallow up Afton after all the atrocities he's committed, and he still managed to escape. That was kind of like the idea that came into my mind. I was like, huh, it's like an earthquake at the very epicenter of that room where the rabbit was in. Like it's as if like the earthquake was targeting him specifically, and that just brought me to that whole pit in the FISA lore world with regards to Fazbear Tycoon and everything. It made me think of that one like event in that fan game, so I just wanted to at least like make that connection. Now, I don't know if the developer was inspired by that or if it happens to be a complete coincidence, because to be honest, I mean, yeah, we're talking about a giant pit swallowing up a house versus an earthquake centering on an individual person in that room, but just the premise itself is like, it's so similar, I couldn't help but make the connection. Oddly enough, for some reason, when I was thinking that on Saturday, I actually thought it was part of the books. I don't know why. I mean, maybe that's, you know, a way to... I mean, maybe that's to say that the Feast Archive made me think of the books for some reason. But, I don't know, for some reason I thought that was an actual, like, an official FNAF lore thing. The whole, like, pit swallowing up the house. No idea why I thought that. I don't know. It was just a connection I want to make with regards to, I guess, Fazbear Tycoon's FISA, the Fazbear Entertainment Security Archive, and this game's lore details about the earthquake centering on the rabbit, as if the earth itself was trying to kill him. But it failed, and the rabbit would go on to kill all the work friends slash work crewmates of Ralph. Poor Ralph. Luckily he got his daughter and got the hell out of there, to be honest. And, you know, we ended up staying behind, to be honest, despite our better judgment. You know, the more I think about it, this diagram was very useful for, like, telling me, like, where I am in relative to the whole building. But when you think about it, it doesn't really matter, you know, which fans are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I, except for H. H is the only one that matters because you know it's the one where you're at. But with all the rest, I remember, because literally at the beginning of the game, right, I would try to, like, turn these three off so that they would all funnel upwards. But at the end of the day, it was like, well, to be honest, that takes a lot of effort trying to do this, or more effort, given how fast you have to be sometimes. And it's like, realistically, you only really need H. And because of that, it's like, okay, the you know, most of the details on that diagram, like where A through G and I's fans are pretty much unimportant in that regard. I don't know, just like little details here and there. Just trying to get to the end of the night. Good job, even though I'm gonna get nothing. So, with that said, my thoughts on the game. Because originally I had my thoughts laid out in the previous video, but I figured custom night, we'll talk about it after that. So, overall, gameplay-wise, really like the gameplay, right? It's very unique with the whole, like, trying to funnel them around or, like, try and control where they go via the fans. It's kind of like a very different way of the audio mechanics where you would use the audio to lure them away. Only in this case, it's more about controlling the audio that you make so that they don't know you're there. It's a bit different in that way. And overall, it turned out to be quite an intense experience. As I said earlier, but at first I was focused on, like, trying to funnel them towards, like, the top half of the building. But eventually it got to the point where it's like, okay, that's not as feasible. The idea has to be to just shut off my fan when they're nearby. But obviously, through the course of me playing the game, I got a better idea of the mechanics through a lot of trial and error. For context, I spent almost 3 hours trying to get through Friday. That's how much trouble I had with the night, because I didn't realize at the time that I was kind of like getting away with a lot of things that in retrospect you shouldn't be able to get away with. I was constantly using the flashlight on the hallways without any regard for, you know, breathing sounds. I didn't even know that was part of the mechanics, right? Because in general, when it comes to the gameplay, you need to make sure that when you use the flashlight, they're not too close to you via the breathing. Turn off the vent so that you can hear and make sure that the coast is clear so you can check the vent, or check the hallway, sorry. Because sometimes, even if there's no breathing, they can be right up against you. And I'm convinced, not sure if this is how it works, but I'm convinced that in the moments where Freddy, or not Freddy, Bonnie, Chica are right up at your table, I'm convinced that you need to shine the light at them in order to, like, get rid of them. As for Freddy, pretty simple. You hear his laughter, check the cameras to make sure he's not the doorway, right? Very straightforward. I do like the idea of, let's say you're in the middle of the night, right, 3 a.m., he manages to get to one of your generators. Even though you knock that out, you can take the opportunity, given enough time, to close him off in that room and not worry about him anymore. Given you have to worry about power drain at that point, that's when you have to start thinking about power drain. So obviously, context-wise, it depends when would be the best time to do that. But I love that that's an option, that you can just lock him out. And speaking of which, Saturday, I love that if you try doing that same thing to the rabbit, he just bursts through the door saying, you know what, that plan may work on Freddy, but it's not going to work on me. I do like that because I saw that and it was like, huh, surely he won't let me lock him in here, right? And then you see him at the door, and it's like, oh, I actually locked him in. And then you just hear this loud crashing sound. It's like, oh, never mind, I guess. And then Foxy, you have to pretty much, again, pay attention to the hallways, and they'll try to be a little sneaky, try and disappear from the hallway before attacking you. That part especially also emphasizes why it's so important to make sure there's no breathing when you're going to look for Foxy. So overall, like from a gameplay standpoint, like I said, pretty unique and some pretty interesting mechanics. Obviously, it doesn't really handhold you. They tell you the general gist of how to deal with them, but you kind of have to figure out the nuance a little bit with the motion detectors. Speaking of which, the motion detectors, I completely misinterpreted those because I thought that the motion detectors were a way to figure out whether you should turn off the fan or not. And in reality, not the case. As you see in Custom Night, you do not need the motion detectors to beat the game. You could go through the entire game without using those. The main benefit is to get an idea ahead of time whether you should turn off the fan or not. But at the time, I was misconstruing it, thinking that, okay, if there's a certain distance or at a certain position on the motion detectors, turn off the fan or don't use the flashlight, one or the other. And that's what got me killed so much, because I thought, based off the motion detector, I would know whether to use the flashlight or not. And so many times I was proven wrong, though I didn't make the connection for a long time until I noticed the breathing when I turn off the vent. With that said, it is nice actually figuring out those mechanics, those nuances for yourself. I would say the only frustrating thing sometimes is when you die, you get one of those death hints, but sometimes the hint doesn't apply, or it feels like it doesn't apply. Like, I'll have the fan off, I die, the game tells me turning off the fan is a safe bet, and it's like, well, I had the fan off, and I still died, so it wasn't really a safe bet. That's probably my only real gripe with those death hints, but besides that, I enjoyed the difficulty, the tension that comes from switching between Freddy, turning off the door, or closing the door, opening the door, turning off vents, especially since some of those will randomly be shut off by some mischievous spirit lying around. Obviously, you also have the bear, who is kind of like a bit of a cameo character, will block vision on camera, except for when Freddy's there. In terms of visuals, really nice designs. I love the designs for these guys. I mentioned during the extras how it's kind of funny seeing that their helmets or headpieces are so clean in comparison to the rest of their body, which is an interesting detail. I'm not sure why that is. Oh, look who it is, it's the endoskeleton. Oddly enough, I expected this endoskeleton to actually show up during the game. Yet that never happens. It's a very random cameo, like, in the main menu, because you don't see this. In fact, that is something very odd. I don't think you see this design ever. I don't know, like, is this actually the endoskeleton design for all the characters? As for the story, very chilling way to tell the story of the spirits, like having them communicate with you as you're like doing these tests on them. Especially that part with Freddy, I think it was, that literally like they were in the middle of saying something and then you just hear this like groan slash scream as Freddy's head is like pried open. Chilling. In a sense, it gives me some semblance of like that VHS horror aesthetic for like FNAF VHS, but it wasn't like overdone, I don't think, in this game. Like, I think it was a nice balance. It was only for like those interactions that you had with the animatronics. But of course, with all that said, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like and comment what you enjoyed about the video, what you want to see from me. If you haven't seen my Tubbyland story breakdown, that'll be in the description below, as well as a playlist to all my other story breakdowns that I've done in the past. The game will be in the description below as always. Great job to Andrew Gamer and whoever else worked on this game. Of course, the game will be in the description below as always, and with that said, I'll see you in another video. Take care.